Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new, please click that subscribe button, share this video with your family and friends, and make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell so when I post a new video, you get alerted about it. And please comment something, I would really appreciate that. And also, please go subscribe to my main YouTube account, just David O. I will link it in the description if I don't forget. Thanks a lot. So, also please like the video if you want to. I'm not really that concerned about likes, but if you want to. Okay, well, I'm gonna get started anyway. Enough of me chit-chatting about all that YouTube stuff. Now about the book. We're reading. When number one tells you to do something, Mr. Priest said to Lila and me, do it at once. Lila ignored Mr. Priest and hissed at Sletta. How could you do this to Zoe and me? She asked. I thought you were kind and beautiful. I trusted you. Sletta licked her paw and dabbed her face. I am beautiful, both as a cat and as a human. Unfortunately for you, I'm not kind. What cat is? Nor am I to be trusted by anyone except dear aunt. You are my sweetheart. Mr. Priest stooped to stroke Sletta. My absolutely dearest darling cat. One moment. Okay. Sletta licked her paw and dabbed her face. I am beautiful, both as a... Oh, sorry, I read that. You are my sweetheart, Mr. Priest. Wait, no. My absolutely dearest darling cat. Sorry about that, everyone. Sorry. My absolutely dearest darling cat. Sorry, I think it... Yes, that's sorry. Again. Sletta purred and rubbed her snowy sides against Mr. Priest's legs. She darted a sly glance at me. If you'd given us 13, you'd be home now. Such a foolish, stubborn girl you were. Perhaps you'll be nicer as a cat. Mr. Priest looked down at us. In the future, she said, if you don't obey number one and me, you will be sent to the dungeon without food, and there you will stay until I see fit to release you. Which may never. Let us sneered. Bow your heads to Aunt and me. Bow your heads to Aunt and me. Do not speak to us until we speak to you. They waited for us to bow our heads. Lila looked at me, and I bowed my head. So did she. It hurt us both to obey. But we didn't want to get to the dungeon. Meek as kittens, we followed Sletta and Mr. Priest. The kitchen was bleak as the rest of the house, even worse because the sink was full of dirty dishes. Our paws stuck to the filthy floor. Bulging garbage bags sat by the door, and the air stunk of cat pee and rotten food. The other cats had gathered around a large bowl of dry cat food, the cheapest kind you can buy. The big ones crowded out the smaller ones. Oh my god. I'm sorry guys, maybe I'm tired of making so many mistakes. Please excuse my mistakes. Who ate what spilled out of the bowl? In the dining room, which was painted black like everything else, I saw Sletta the cat seat herself on a chair with a red velvet cushion before her. On the table was a china plate. From it she daintily nibbled a piece of barely cooked salmon. Even if we wanted to. Hold on. So, even if we wanted to, we couldn't have gotten near the bowl of kibble without pushing past the other cats. I definitely wasn't eating from a bowl on the floor. If I couldn't sit at the table like Zlata and eat salmon, I'd starve. Lila turned up her nose at the kibble and groomed herself. Mr. Bree finished her dinner and strode into the kitchen, even though the cats were still eating. She snatched the bowl away, following me to the changing room. This time Lila and I got at the end of the line and did as we were told. What would happen next? Would we be girls again, even if only for a night? Mr. Bree led us to another large room with black walls, floor, and ceiling. Boards painted black covered the windows. She lit a candle on a tall stand. In its light, I saw a circle drawn on the floor. Evenly spaced around it were 14 black dresses. Each one was numbered. Lila did what the others did and sat in front of the dresses with their numbers, 14 and 15. Beside me was an empty space. A black dress numbered 13 lay there waiting for Nia. No, I thought. She'll never wear the dress again. She's safe with Aunt Alice. Mr. P took a place in the middle of the circle and raised the candle over her head. Slowly she began to chant in a harsh language. The candle's flame wavered, sending shadows dancing across the walls and ceiling. Mr. Bree's long hair, free from its bun, hung loosely around her face. In the candle's light, she was both beautiful and menacing, her eyes deeply shadowed and her cheekbones sharp. My heart beat faster at the thought of being myself again, if only until sunrise. Mr. Bree took a place in the middle of the circle and raised the candle over her head. Slowly she began to chant in a harsh language. The candle's flame wavered, sending shadows dancing across the walls and said, I think I read this, I believe, not sure, don't quote me on that. Mr. Bree, no, actually I did not. Well, that part, maybe a little. Okay, Mr. Bree's, sorry, my cat is bothering me. Okay. Mr. Bree's long hair, free from its bond, loosely around her face. In the candle's light, I read that part. Cheekbones sharp. Oh yeah, I read that. My heart beat faster at the thought of being myself again. If only until sunrise. I don't think I said sunrise, but it sounded like it. I braced myself for the pain I'd felt after I became a cat. I sensed the same tension in Lila's body. I longed to reach out and grip her paw, but we weren't quite close enough to touch. This time I scarcely realized the change was happening. My cat body flowed into my human body like water filling a bowl. In seconds, a circle of naked girls and women knelt on the floor, watching the others. Lila and I staggered to our feet and pulled the dresses over our heads. They were no more than sacks of thin cloth with holes for our heads and arms, but they covered our bodies. Lila and I turned to each other. She was there, my friend, just as she'd always looked. We threw our arms around each other and sobbed. Zleta, now in human form, grabbed our hair and yanked us apart. No touching, she said. No talking. Get in line and follow the others upstairs. Lila and I took a place behind 7, a pale woman with red hair, and 12, a skinny teenager with dark skin and curly hair. They climbed the creaky steps, their bare feet as soundless as a cat's paws. 10 and 11 followed Lila and me. 10 was not tall, tan, and blonde, and 11 was a small girl with a tawny skin and black hair. They looked to be about the same age as 12, a little older than Lila and me. 12 looked over her shoulder at us. Are you happy to be girls again? Only if we get out of here, I said, and never... What? And never be a cat again, sorry. Lila added, or be in this house, or... 10 poked Lila in the back. Hush, you'll get us in trouble. We're not allowed to talk to you. She pointed a warning finger at a figure at the top of the stairs. A woman with one eye and a scared face sat there, looking down at us. I recognized her at once as the cat who had asked our names. She frowned at 12. Mistress has forbidden us to socialize with the criminals who stole the one whose name we do not say. 12 moved closer to the woman beside her, and 10 and 11 ignored us as if they had never spoken to us. We followed the line of stairs and into a long, brightly lit room. Ultra-modern sewing machines sat in rows on long tables. Some of the older ones picked up neatly folded stacks of unfinished clothing and started to sew, their pale faces expressionless. 12, 10, and 11 sat next to each other, but they never said a word or smiled. Somehow, even though they looked like girls, they had a sort of catness about them. At one end of the room, a row of finished dresses in shades of beige, white, red, and black hung from clothing racks. Some were prints, others were solid colors like the clothing Mr. Pre wore. The dresses were made of like the clothing Mr. Pre wore. The dresses were made of soft, silky cloth. Mom would have loved their classic style. Uh-oh, my cat got on top of the fridge, apparently. His problem. He always does that. Okay. Mom would have loved their classic style. If we got the promotion she wanted, she might be able to afford these clothes. Jackets and skirts made of heavier material in the same colors as the dresses hung nearby. Slacks and tunics, shirts, as well as scarves as light as silk, swayed in a breeze that slipped through the barred windows. Most of them were also black, white, beige, and red. No blues, though no purples, greens, or yellows. A few of the girls began folding finished clothing and packing it in tissue-lined boxes. Like the seamstress, they said nothing to each other but worked quickly to fill box after box. 9, a pale teenager with a tired face, gave Lila and me pincushions, scissors, a bolt of fabric, and tissue paper pattern pieces. Make sure you pin the pieces with the grain of the fabric. Like this. She picked up a piece to show us what she meant. Don't waste fabric. Cut carefully. The seamstress need correctly cut pieces to do their work. Oh, my cat got down from the fridge. Good. Okay, never mind. After watching us pin the tissue and cut the fabric, she left us on our own and returned to her pattern pieces. I glanced at Lila and made a face. It was easy, but were boring. Hours passed, the machines whirred. The sound made me unbearably sleepy. It was hard to believe that my bed was just next door. If only I were not here, sound asleep with Nia beside me. If only, if only. A stinging slap woke me. Don't you dare fall asleep. 14. 3 times and it's down to the dungeons, Lattice said. Do you understand? I'm not used to being up all night. You'd better get used to it fast. You won't like the dungeon. She crossed the room and snatched a dress number 12 was sewing. Sorry about that. Okay. So where was it again? Okay, she held it up and scowled. Take the sleeve out and sew it in properly. Look at all those puckers. Do you think wealthy women will... Okay, well... Where did I get that sentence? Oh yeah, it's there. Do you think wealthy women will buy Mr. Priest's clothing if it's badly made? 12 bowed her head. I apologize. I was careless and clumsy. Sletta threw the dress down. This is your second warning, 12. Please forgive me. I'll do better. I promise. Without acknowledging 12's apology, Sletta flounced off to find fault with someone else. Look at this collar. Will you never learn to do it properly? She hissed. Lila and I kept our heads down and worked. Sletta sat in a comfortable black armchair and watched us, quick to jump up and pounce on anyone who made a mistake. Her stare kept me awake, but my fingers were clumsy and slow. At any moment, she'd accuse me of wasting fabric. When dawn's light finally crept into the room, the women and girls rose and tidied their work areas. We filed silently down the stairs. Sorry, everything's good. Down the Suddenly down the stairs to the changing room and sat in our places. Following the example of the others, Lila and I took off our dresses and laid them neatly in front of us. As ugly and itchy as the dress was, I hated taking it off. It was like girls' showers in the gym class. I detested undressing in front of other people. Mr. P entered the room, lit the candle, and went through the ritual. A sharp jolt, and I was a cat again. A cat among cats. It was back to all fours to make our way to the kitchen. This time, Lila and I were hungry enough to push between two of the others and grab our share of the kibble. The multicolored bits had the taste and texture of the health food cereal Mom loved. A little milk would have greatly improved it, but I managed to choke it down. When we licked the bowl clean, the other cats crowded around the back door. Lila and I joined them, eager to be let outside. Mr. B opened the door and the cats rushed through. When Lila and I tried to follow them, Mr. B kicked us aside. No outside for you. Now it was just Lila and me and the two witches, and hoped they'd forget we were here. We tucked ourselves under the sofa and curled up to sleep the day away. Just as I dozed off, Mr. Priest's voice woke both Lila and me. Don't rush away, Sletta. We have serious matters to discuss. The two of them sat on the sofa, giving us a view of Letta's red high-heeled sandals and Miss Dupree's black ballet slippers. I told you that girl was trouble, Mr. Priest said. one look at her the day she arrived. Just one look told me everything about her. Flora murmured, "Yes, I remember, Aunt. You knew at once. You're never mistaken." And then Miss Dupree went on. She had to go and gang up with the girl across the street. The one whose parents made such a stink about that dog. If he hadn't chased my cat, he'd be alive today. Lila nudged me. "I knew it," she whispered. Suddenly Zlata's body tensed and she leaned forward. A car just stopped at Miss Fitzhugh's house. The witches tiptoed to the hall. Turning to Zlata, Miss Dupree said, "It must be the police." I hadn't expected them so soon. Fitzhugh must have been very persuasive. After they finish next door, they'll canvass the neighborhood. They'll even come here. They won't give up until they find those brats. Lila cuddled close and whispered, "The police will find us. We'll be saved." "But Lila, we're cats now. How will the police know who we really are?" "Oh no." She hid her face in her paws and I pressed closer to her. Now that they left the room, it was harder to hear the witches. Lila and I crept out from under the sofa and crouched near the doorway. We had to know their plans. Mr. Dupree had begun to pace the floor. "Face it, Zlata, we've been here long enough. Maybe too long." "But Aunt, this house is perfect for our needs. We have space for the sewing machines. We're near the city and it's stray girls. We have Caleb to ship the clothing to our distributor. Surely we can stay. When I want your opinion, Zlata, I'll ask for it." Mr. Dupree's voice had an angry edge. "Of course, Aunt. I just thought. Listen to me. That Perkins woman will tell the police I poisoned her dog. Fitzhugh will harp on 13 and the arguments I had with the girl. Others will complain about my cats and the appearance of my house. They'll say I'm strange, unfriendly, weird, witchy. I scare their kids. The police will come back with more questions." One moment, okay. Again and again. They'll come back with more questions again. Okay, let me reread that. The police will come back with more questions again and again. We'll have no peace, no privacy. Cop reporters, they'll be here at all hours. She took a deep breath. Worst of all, at least for the time being, we've lost 13. How will I stay in business without her? Who will design my clothing? Who will do the artwork? Lila and I looked at each other, astonished. "So that's why she wanted Nia back," I whispered. "That's why the cat was so special." Oops, sorry about that. Excuse me. If you heard that. "Without Nia, she's out of business." Lila purred in glee. No more trips to Europe. No more fame for her or Zlata. Mr. Dupree glanced at the doorway, and Lila and I froze. Had she heard us? But Zlata went on talking. "You're right, dear Aunt. Of course you are," she murmured. "I apologize for my stupidity. I should know better than to question you." Mr. Dupree hissed like a cat. "Indeed, Zlata. Make sure you remember who's in charge. Do not question me again." "Yes, Aunt." "Of course not, Aunt. I never meant to offend. Now call Caleb and have him drive you to the station. Go the back way. Don't be seen. Keep your appointment in the city. Show Mr. Winston my last designs. Tell him I need to go away for a while. But I'll be in touch." "I will, Aunt." Zleta paused a moment. May I ask when we're leaving? Tonight. Zleta guessed. So soon? I hope you aren't questioning my judgment again, Zleta. No, of course not, Aunt. I was simply surprised. Perhaps you don't think I have the strength to do so much in one night. Is that it? No, truly, Aunt. You are the most powerful person I have ever known. That's better. I assure you I'm as strong now as I was 20 years ago. Maybe stronger. She paused as if she was thinking. Tell Caleb we'll need his help tonight with the boxes of our clothing line. They must be mailed to our customers at once. Everything else will be left behind. Everything? Even our clothes. Zleta was obviously shocked. What will I wear? Stop questioning me, Zleta. When I say everything, I mean everything. We must travel light. None of what we have accumulated here is essential. We can replace it all just as we've done before. We drew herself up, one bony hand gripping the railing on the stairs. Now make that phone call to Caleb. Okay, everyone, thanks so much for watching this longer video. I have finished chapter 9. Tomorrow, moving on to chapter 10. Have a great night, everyone. 9:01, I better go get some rest soon. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.